The Chicago Bears stink. They are my team. I know this. I have had this dread every single Sunday watching this team, and now I am in my 30s. I know what I have signed up for when I really didn't even sign up. I inherited this dumpster fire of a franchise, and nothing's going to change until George McCaskey is no longer in charge of this team. But here we are. With Matt Eberflus gone, the head coaching search, it seems, has begun. There is one prominent name who has expressed interest.
Our own Adam Schefter with the tweet, or the X-post, whatever you're calling it. He said this regarding Pete Carroll's potential return to the NFL. Former Seahawks Super Bowl winning head coach Pete Carroll has expressed interest in the Bears head coaching job and would like to return to the sideline next season, league sources tell ESPN. Ooh.
And hey, just a quick break in the action. You should go subscribe to my new show, The Rick Strom Show. I'm going to be interviewing people from sports, music, journalists, authors, sports doctors. It's going to be fantastic. Please go subscribe. Thank you. So it's true. At 73 years old, Pete Carroll is saying, yeah, I'd like the job. But there's an angle that no one's discussing that was brought to my attention. Is Pete Carroll a 9/11 truther? And if so, would that, because of the NFL's very strong ties to the military-industrial complex, potentially limit him from becoming a head coach again? Well, let's start with this. There's no doubt of his track record. He is on solid footing. Very accomplished in his field, one of 4 coaches to have led teams to both a national championship and a Super Bowl. The others are Barry Switzer, Jimmy Johnson, and Jim Harbaugh. More, Carroll helped shape the University of Southern California into a national powerhouse. Then he went to the Seahawks. It lasted 14 seasons. He led the team to 10 playoff appearances, 2 conference championships, and the franchise's only Super Bowl win.
I agree with you, Zach, but they've just got to get this coaching hire right. They've got to get a guy that can be that face of the franchise leader, can be a tone setter, can be a guy with ideas, but also, and I'm talking schematically and such, but also be a guy that inspires the players. They've just got to find a way to nail this, and you see these NFL coaching cycles have become larger and larger, where it used to be, 4, 5, 6 jobs would turn over a year. And now I think it's more commonplace for that number to be 6 to 8. And so when you talk about having 8 head coaching hires in a cycle, once you get up to that, you're talking about cycling through, on average, every team in the league in 4 years.
But let's go back to that initial question. What is it about Pete Carroll and 9/11 trutherism? Well, Danny Torgerson, a member of the 9/11 Studies and Outreach Club at Arizona State University, would tell USA Today in the year 2015, he kind of became an instant celebrity in the 9/11 truth movement. He's won the Super Bowl once. He could win it again. That's lots of credibility and popularity. So how did we get here exactly? 4-star general Peter Carrelli, seen here, met with Carroll at Seattle Seahawks headquarters. The general is from Seattle and is a big fan of the team. Deadspin would report his post-military work concerns traumatic brain injury research, a cause of some significance to the National Football League. Both had plenty of experience leading groups of men on grand American stages. They would write this. Chiarelli's mention of Iraq sent Carroll in another direction. He wanted to know if the September 11th attacks had been planned or had been faked by the government of the United States of America. Carroll started peppering Chiarelli with questions about the attack on the Pentagon, basically asking, did it really happen? How did it happen? The general would reply, he lost colleagues that day at the Pentagon. Even with him saying this, Carroll just kept going, kept insisting, kept asking question after question after question. Former NFL linebacker Ricky Ellison, who reportedly introduced the two, told Deadspin, every 9/11 conspiracy theory you can think of, Pete asked about it. And he didn't stop at 9/11. He had lots of questions about the role of the military today. Ellison said he was at the meeting. Thus, in the aftermath, when he was asked about the 9/11 truth movement and the supporters who would back him, Pete Carroll did not make any attempt to deny or distance himself. Any notoriety is good, I guess. What? How? Explain to me how good notoriety, any notoriety is good notoriety, I guess, when you are in the 9/11 truther movement. It's sort of like the QAnon for 9/11. I mean, what are we doing here? Why would you believe that that is good notoriety? There is no such thing as any notoriety is good notoriety. The amount of examples that one could give on dispelling that sort of myth is paramount. Shocking. He would tell this to USA Today how he became a favorite among the truthers. I will always be interested in the truth. Yeah. It's crazy. Ellison would say that Carroll is not a kook, just skeptical. Quote, Pete grew up in California during Vietnam and during Watergate. That's just the perspective he brings to the table. Nah, man. I can be skeptical of some things. I'm not going to fall in line with like Pizzagate people on this stuff, bro. I'm just not. I think our job in the media is to ask questions and be skeptical of what a coach, a player, an elected official, a sergeant, a police commander, a mayor. I mean, go on and on. Can't understand how it lasts so long. So, look, like, I get it. Like, you want to defend your guy probably because you have a relationship with him. And this quote is old. However, there's a difference between wanting to get to the truth and then hammering a 4-star general who lost friends and colleagues on that day to continue asking questions on why you think this didn't happen when it did. I'm sorry. That's just a different level of crazy, man. And maybe that's what you have to be if you are a professional athlete or a professional coach. I mean, we thought Adam Gase's eyes were crazy. He wasn't successful. Mike Tyson's crazy, uber successful. What was that man's name with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Wasn't it the Bucs? I think it was the Bucs or the Broncos, who asked a trainer to slap him in the face before a game. That's a level of crazy. Ray Lewis is a level of crazy. So maybe that's just like an element of what someone in pro sports has to have. But there's a difference between crazy and flat out effing insane. And this is just, and there's more. There's more. From the formerly great website of Deadspin. So did the discussion last year turn hostile? A source close to the 4-star general, one who wasn't present when he spoke to Carroll, told us that it did. He said the general had to leave the room because Pete Carroll had rankled him so thoroughly. Well, that's saying something. Ellison told us that it wasn't true. The discussion had remained friendly and, quote, fun throughout. A spokesman for Chiarelli at his foundation, One Mind for Research, didn't respond to their requests. On the same plane, and here's where you're going to be like, oh no, because you guys are smart. You guys understand the different subjects that we bring to the table at times. Pete Carroll brought Jordan Peterson. I know the reaction if I had y'all in the room would be like, He brought Jordan Peterson to speak to his Seattle Seahawks team in the year 2018. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say these have not aged well at all. And much like Urban Meyer, knowing what we know about him now, whether it is intentionally missing a team flight to go grind with what appears to be a college student at your own bar in Columbus. It's a true story. Or being an avid Trump supporter that wants to bring in Larry Elder to your Ohio State team. We know a lot about Pete Carroll now. This feels very libertarian-y, sort of like the founder of Whole Foods, where he's like, I like organic food, but I also hate workers and hate everything, and I want to destroy the planet. So let me say this as a Bears fan real quick, then we'll go. They have to hire Ben Johnson. That's the only name that I want because I thought Jared Goff was pretty good. I didn't think he was this good. If Ben Johnson can do that to Jared Goff, granted they do have some really good weapons offensively, my God, what can he do with Caleb Williams? The negative to all of this is that the Bears, as Brad Biggs talked about, legendary Chicago Tribune writer in the city, covering the Bears for many years, there is competition. And when you have the McCaskies at the helm, if I'm Ben Johnson and I have a pick of the litter, I'm not choosing Chicago. I'm choosing something with more stability. And honestly, wouldn't blame him. And I've said this before, I believe on this very medium, that what I wanted them to do was fire Matt Eberflus after the second season because it just didn't make sense. And I wanted them, knowing that they would go get Caleb Williams, to go get Jim Harbaugh. That was my pick. That is what I wanted. Former Chicago Bears player, won at the University of Michigan, the national championship, was a play away from winning with the San Francisco 49ers against the Baltimore Ravens in the blackout Super Bowl, the lights out Super Bowl. I don't think there could have been anyone more qualified, and yet Ryan Poles attached himself at the hip to a lame duck coach, which we all knew was going to result in this. The bigger question now is, does Ryan Poles deserve another shot at getting this right? And that is the discussion locally. And I got to say, it's split, mainly because many people are saying that he pulled off the heist of the century, getting Caleb Williams and DJ Moore from the Carolina Panthers. I would call it luck. And there needs to be some luck in this game, but I would call that luck. And if he didn't have that very lucky opportunity present itself, and the Panthers were abhorrent last year to give the Chicago Bears the number 1 overall pick, I think everybody would have a little bit different of a tune in the city.
If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports. And or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.